a blueprint for balance. Have you ever felt like a well that's been drawn from one too many times? Empty, drained, and forgotten? You're the rock everyone leans on, the person who always shows up when called upon. But when it's your turn to ask for help, the silence is deafening. It's an all too familiar story, isn't it? But here's a timeless truth as relevant today as it was in ancient times. Stoicism isn't merely about enduring life's hardships. It's about knowing when to set boundaries, nurture yourself, and serve others without losing sight of who you are. It's the art of keeping your flame alive so you can light the way for others without burning out. Intrigued? You should be. This ancient philosophy holds the keys to redefining how we think about kindness, generosity, and self-care. If you've ever wondered whether you're giving too much or yearned for a healthier equilibrium in your life, this message is tailor-made for you. So stay with me. We're about to explore something profound. Imagine this. You're the dependable one, the fixer, the person who always says yes. It feels good to be needed, doesn't it? To be the hero everyone counts on. But there's a hidden cost to this relentless giving. Piece by piece, you're handing over parts of yourself until one day, you reach into your reservoir and find it dry. And when you finally need support, you stand alone because you've poured everything you had into filling other people's cups. This is where Stoic wisdom steps in. Think of Marcus Aurelius, who emphasized the importance of self-care, not as selfishness, but as necessity. He believed that we cannot pour from an empty vessel. Only when we are whole can we truly serve others. Picture two neighbors with gardens. One tends to their own plot first, ensuring it thrives before sharing its bounty. The other neglects their garden entirely, focusing solely on helping others cultivate theirs. Over time, their once lush garden becomes overrun with weeds and barren soil. The lesson? You must nourish your own roots before you can tend to someone else's growth. But let's be clear, Stoicism doesn't advocate for shutting others out or hoarding your energy. Instead, it champions balance, a sustainable form of generosity that enriches both giver and receiver. As Epictetus wisely noted, it's not what happens to us, but how we respond that defines our experience. We hold the power to say no when necessary, protecting our inner reserves while still extending a hand when appropriate. Plato echoed this sentiment, reminding us that true kindness flows from strength, not depletion. And Carl Jung urged introspection, cautioning against squandering our vitality on external demands at the expense of our inner peace. The Stoics, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, were masters of purposeful action. They believed in doing good for its own sake, free from the chains of expectation or reward. Seneca, in particular, spoke eloquently about generosity. He argued that authentic giving requires no applause or acknowledgement. It simply gives because it is right. He urged us to give freely, joyfully, and without hesitation, likening stingy gifts to waterlogged sponges. They leave behind resentment rather than gratitude. Imagine giving purely to witness the spark of joy in another's eyes, untainted by ulterior motives or mental scorekeeping. That is the heart of Stoic generosity, giving from abundance, not scarcity. So, how will you choose to live? Will you continue down the path of self-sacrifice, risking burnout and isolation? Or will you embrace the Stoic way, cultivating a life of balance, resilience, and meaningful connection? The choice is yours. Start tending to your garden today and watch as its fruits multiply, enriching not only your life but the lives of those around you. When we offer something with the anticipation of receiving something in return, we aren't truly giving, we're negotiating. Life is far too intricate and profound to be distilled into mere exchanges. This Stoic perspective on generosity resonates deeply with Aristotle's philosophy of virtue. Authentic virtue is found in deriving joy from virtuous actions for their inherent worth, not for any external rewards they might yield. True generosity lies in finding fulfillment in the act itself, knowing that you've made even the smallest ripple of positive impact in someone else's life. Plato also championed the idea of living according to our highest principles, irrespective of outcomes. In this light, generosity becomes an embodiment of your ideals, a reflection of your values, untethered from concerns about reciprocation. If you find yourself stretched thin or emotionally drained, remember that self-care is the bedrock of meaningful generosity. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. Take time to replenish yourself before extending help to others. Genuine kindness requires balance. It's about discerning when to give and, equally important, when to preserve your energy for yourself. When you do choose to give, let it flow from a place of abundance, free from expectations. According to Stoicism, generosity is an expression of integrity and inner joy, a testament to living in harmony with your deepest values. So, if you've ever given until you felt depleted or wondered how to strike equilibrium in your life, know that Stoicism offers guidance. The path involves being compassionate toward others while maintaining discipline with yourself, honoring your limits, and nurturing your well-being so you can give without sacrificing your essence. Life, in all its complexity, calls us to embrace both our luminous strengths and shadowed vulnerabilities, as Carl Jung eloquently described through his concepts of the persona and the shadow. The persona represents the mask we present to the world, while the shadow harbors the facets of ourselves we conceal. Jung's insights challenge us to integrate these dualities, recognizing that giving without expectation is an act of profound authenticity and self-unification. This form of generosity, untethered from the desire for reciprocity, becomes a powerful declaration of self-empowerment. Epictetus reinforces this wisdom, reminding us that although we command our actions, the results remain beyond our influence. When we decide to give, whether it's our time, compassion, or resources, we do so from a place of internal sovereignty. This choice liberates us, shifting the emphasis from what we stand to gain to what we can contribute. The beauty of giving without strings attached transcends nobility. It's emancipating. It releases us from the snare of unmet expectations, shields us from feelings of resentment, and fosters a spirit of generosity that enriches both our lives and those of others. Boundaries are equally vital in safeguarding our well-being. In a world that ceaselessly demands our attention and energy, the pressure to be perpetually available can feel suffocating. Stoicism, with its focus on personal virtue and inner tranquility, underscores the necessity of saying no to protect our vitality and focus. Yet, this isn't about neglecting others. It's about conserving our resources so we can genuinely serve when it matters most. Consider the story of a mother who poured everything into caring for her daughter out of love. While her devotion seemed like the pinnacle of affection, it inadvertently hindered her daughter's ability to navigate life independently. Only after the mother's passing was the daughter compelled to stand on her own. This poignant tale reveals a universal truth. Excessive assistance can sometimes stifle growth. By establishing boundaries, we foster independence. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, self-discipline and understanding what lies within our control are cornerstones of a virtuous existence. Setting boundaries thus becomes an act of sagacity, acknowledging that we can support others without commandeering their journeys. Seneca echoes this sentiment, reminding us that true happiness springs from within, not from external circumstances or others' actions. By defining clear limits, we empower others to draw upon their inner resilience, just as we cultivate our own. This principle aligns with Aristotle's concept of the golden mean, striking a balance between extremes. In the context of boundaries, it's about harmonizing the act of helping others with preserving our own well-being. Establishing boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of wisdom and self-respect, ensuring we don't deplete ourselves in the face of relentless demands. Setting boundaries is a profound act of self-respect and personal integrity, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Many of us have learned through hard experience that being endlessly available often leads to feelings of being undervalued. Like an old reliable car, everyone depends on, but rarely maintains. Yet, when we begin to assert our limits, something transformative happens. It's not merely about refusing requests. It's about declaring our inherent worth and safeguarding what matters most: our time, energy, and well-being. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that peace isn't disrupted by others' actions, but by how we judge them. By setting boundaries, we affirm that our resources are sacred and should never be taken for granted. Seneca echoes this truth, teaching that true freedom stems from mastering oneself. Choosing when and how to say no becomes an exercise in self-discipline, a bold assertion of autonomy. Epictetus would add that as stewards of our own lives, we must reclaim our time to live with purpose and intention. In life, while we cannot control how others perceive us, we hold absolute power over our actions and responses. Boundaries align perfectly with Stoicism's core principle, focusing on what lies within our control. When we establish these limits, we protect more than just our schedules. We safeguard our dignity and mental health. Plato might argue that genuine helpfulness doesn't mean limitless availability. Rather, it involves giving in ways that honor both giver and receiver. Similarly, Carl Jung's concept of individuation highlights the importance of defining ourselves in relation to others, a crucial step towards psychological growth and balance. Far from being selfish, setting boundaries is a declaration of value. It sends a clear message. I respect my time, energy, and well-being, and I expect the same from you. This practice doesn't shut people out. It allows us to show up fully when it truly counts, free from exhaustion or resentment. In doing so, we remain generous without losing ourselves in the process. The ripple effect benefits everyone involved, fostering mutual respect and healthier relationships. Some misunderstand boundary setting as weakness or selfishness, yet it is anything but. It is an empowering act of self-care that models respect for others. By refusing to let others overstep, we teach them the importance of honoring limits. Healthy interactions thrive on understanding and respecting each other's boundaries, creating harmony where all needs are acknowledged and valued. The beauty of boundaries lies in their ability to allow us to care deeply for others while still prioritizing our own needs. After all, we cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking care of ourselves first enables us to support others genuinely and sustainably. As Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus taught, inner peace comes not passively, but through deliberate choices about how we engage with the world. True generosity means enriching both giver and receiver, balancing care for others with care for oneself. Living by Stoic principles inspires those around us to reflect and grow. When we honor our values and set meaningful boundaries, we don't just transform our own lives. We create a culture of mutual respect and authenticity. By embracing this path, we find joy in giving with integrity, knowing we contribute to the world in ways that uplift both ourselves and others. By showing that it's possible to embody kindness without losing our essence, and to practice generosity without surrendering our well-being, we inspire others to discover their own equilibrium. We offer them a blueprint for establishing boundaries, honoring their needs, and nurturing inner calm even in the face of life storms. This insight isn't confined to dusty scrolls or ancient texts. It pulses with relevance in today's demanding world. In an era where so much is asked of us, knowing how to draw the line becomes vital. Give freely, yes, but never at the expense of your own vitality. Setting boundaries isn't about retreating from the world. It's about stepping into it more authentically, armed with clarity about what it truly means to thrive. The deeper lesson here is one of boldness and compassion, a life lived with profound awareness of both our own limits and the needs of those around us. It's about mastering the art of balance, giving generously while safeguarding yourself, caring deeply for others while respecting your own thresholds. Stoicism calls on us to live fully, embracing the joy of contribution alongside the quiet strength that comes from recognizing and asserting our inherent worth. As you ponder these principles, consider this. Setting boundaries isn't merely an act of self-preservation. It's an exercise in wisdom. It's a way to forge stronger, more respectful connections and a transformative step toward crafting a life rich with harmony, purpose, and serenity. By living in alignment with these ideals, you don't just elevate your own existence. You shine as a guiding light for others, demonstrating that it's possible to walk through life with grace, generosity, and unshakable integrity.